We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. So the Fed comes, the Fed goes. Boring. And the funny thing is, everyone sells after the Fed thinking that that means something. Now, the geopolitical situation over in Asia, okay, that might be serious. However, I think those type of things are dips created by very scary things that wind up getting resolved. So if they want to hit the market over the next 3 days, you know, whether it's the Fed or something geopolitical, I mean, unless something completely crazy happens, this is an opportunity. Some of the work that we've done in Patreon and we're going to be discussing in the YouTube member area, right? We've got a new model that does a lot of great work. So we've got Toby and we've got a model. Haha. We're going to be going over to portfolios, right? With timing now in the YouTube member area. And Patreon has a post for regular members, you know, like a SUI roadmap for like the next 3 months. And, you know, SUI, the dip zone is May 6th to the 10th. SUI down 7-8% after outperforming dramatically. The bottom line is I see this as an opportunity. This is an opportunity, right? They're handing you kind of a gift. I know that there's scary stuff out there, and I know people think Powell matters, but he doesn't. He doesn't, and I'm glad it's over. Okay, we're going to rock all of this. Rock it, rock it, rock it. All right, Bull Runner, Bob Marsh, welcome. Right, oh yeah, by the way, don't forget your Bitcoin Vegas tickets. And speaking of the YouTube member area, with our new time schedule, the YouTube member live stream follows this show. So Toby, portfolio picks, and portfolio timing, thanks to the new model. So timing and picks from the picks, right? Coming up next show, right after this. Okay, Bull Runner, what's up? Bob, a member for 6 months. Syrup, yes. That made the spec cut list. Okay, Huey Rentals, the great Santini, welcome. Wrong again. Oh my God, Bill, you promised May. Right. I know this is a little bit of a bummer. I get it. Okay. I'm still not going to let him shake me out. I'm not going to let him shake me out. I'll tell you why in a second. Tussle from Denmark. GF. Miklo, what's up? Forget about it. Patriot Caveman. DC Precise. Today's Tech Bites, a member for 6 months. Stefan, a member. Grandpa Keeter. Loving the afternoon show with the green button emoji. $4.99 gets you a wide range of emojis plus priority on comments if you can support the channel. Hot Mess Express is here along with today's Tech Bites. Yes, we can check Aero. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. Okay. Now, I'm sure you may have heard Warren Buffett retired. And a really smart guy that I know actually went back and found a report written by Warren Buffett's dad, where he talked about the perils of not backing the dollar with gold and how that eventually leads to a mess. You wanted the government to moon your bags? They're going to moon your bags. Congress has not stopped spending, right? People getting paid $400 to dent up Teslas that actually worked. It worked, right? Because Elon got hit with that in the middle of a bear market. So the empire strikes back. Also, I just happen to think that, you know, global war breaking out in Asia, even though those two countries have historically not liked themselves. Just imagine, you know, oh, wow, war breaking out as we're trying to end other wars. The military-industrial complex. And I ask you this, are these people acting in your interest? No, they're not. They're not. So you want the government to moon your bags? Yeah, they're going to moon your bags, all right, with their bad behavior. That, and per the Orange Man's executive order, I believe the plan for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve is 2 days late. So he's got a dinner coming up, and they have the Bitcoin conference. That's got to be my announcement, right? Because we're sticking with buy in May, even though this thing is dipping in our face. Sometimes you have to take the pain to get the gain. That's our attitude right now. Hal Lopez is here. Miklo with SwiftC. Don't let me forget about SwiftCoin. All right, let's go. News. Let's rock this thing. We're going to have news, TA, and I've got PowerPoint today with some, like a portfolio introduction where we're going to discuss virtuals and some RWA stuff. So don't go anywhere. Okay, so, they're going at it in Asia. Sad to a certain degree, but these two countries don't like themselves. And this does smell like all-out war, and I don't think that's priced in. I don't quite know how to handle these like black swan events. Normally in a GAN world, you wouldn't be worried about this until like the third week of May, if at all. But it's here. Hopefully cooler heads prevail. This could be a reason for the dip. Could be. Okay, Bitcoin stalls as Orange Man vents about trade frustrations before the Fed decision. Something that I've got later in the PowerPoint. Did you know that the tariffs should have made the dollar go up? That's what tariffs normally do. They make our currency more expensive. And guess what? Not only did that not happen, but the dollar is crashing versus currencies in Asia. In other words, deals are being made, right, that involve currency adjustments. They're adjusting currencies. The Taiwan dollar has skyrocketed and the dollar has crashed versus the Taiwan dollar and many Asian currencies. So it's interesting to me that we're selling crypto. We can't sell fast enough, yet the dollar is crashing. Everyone's like, oh, gold is rallying. Yeah, dude, gold was rallying. That was a dollar devaluation. This is dollar devaluation part deux. So the Orange Man is getting deals done using tariffs to devalue the dollar, which is what they want. They don't want the dollar to not be the world's reserve currency. They just want it lower in the currency market. Okay, Treasury's Bessent warns a CBDC would convey weakness. Okay, so yeah, they don't want to do a CBDC, but, certain stable coins can keep track of your behavior, right? Remember, it's all on chain. So unless you're in a privacy stable coin, they can still find you. I'm glad to hear they're not doing a CBDC. I also hope these guys get their act together, because if they don't, they're going to lose the house in 2 years and get AOC in 28. That's really far away. Protect yourself. Get long now. That's my attitude. Okay, Elon stepping back from Doge with promises that everything will be permanent. Congress, the judicial branch, limited Doge cuts, but voters will never see Washington the same again. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, a huge critic of Doge, turns out he's been funneling millions to an NGO that gave his wife a multi-million-dollar salary. Amazing, right? You don't know how much of this there is, and you'll never find out. Meanwhile, Congress just continues to spend. Okay, so what? They found $56 billion in fraud, or they found $160 billion and were only able to cut 56. Not small numbers, not small numbers. Okay, but they're spending $1 trillion a year over what they take in, and I don't understand why that is not seen as a compelling reason for Bitcoin and for crypto as a whole. $450 million spent by the tax authorities to process paper. I can't even believe that's right. I can't even believe that's right. Okay, so we have some determination here, and we hope one day it's applied to Bitcoin, that Harvard is getting taken out to the woodshed, losing losing funding, losing tax-exempt status, getting scathing letters. Hey, folks, this is not the issue of our time, okay? Yeah, there are certain people on the left that don't really like America. They happen to work at just about every university in the country, not just Harvard. But can we please get to Bitcoin now? Please get to Bitcoin now. Because one thing I don't like about this is that part of this has to do with whatever speech the student body wants to have. They can have whatever speech they want. Now, again, what are they indoctrinating these kids with at the institutional level? Another story. Let's indoctrinate them with Bitcoin. Charlie Shrem is out with something to give Bitcoin away to get people educated. Love it. Fed in March, the number of consumer items rising at annual rates of over 10% slowed noticeably, while an increasing number had price declines. So we have rates of 4% and prices falling. And then the tariffs will come along or not. They're really trying to get currency and trade deals. The Taiwan dollar is telling you that. Every legacy guy is like, oh my God, look at the Taiwan dollar. 2 weeks ago, it was Armageddon. Now the dollar is falling, which is bullish everything, including Bitcoin. So Powell leaves rates at 4% and inflation's falling out of bed. The Fed wrecked our financial markets. Secured overnight financing is now almost triple where it was pre-cough, cold, and flu. And this essential must keep increasing or things will start to break. The Fed is barely able to hold the house of cards together, and we're selling. Maybe this is like a fortune cookie. You ever heard the fortune cookie, like you add in bed to everything at the end? Yeah. Maybe we leave at the end, oh yeah, and rates are 4%, and rates are too high. It's too high, right? It's obvious, right? I mean, they're not even able to hold the system together. And again, we're selling Bitcoin off this, right? Okay, bro. Assuming we don't have, a giant nuclear event in Asia, this thing is a buy, in my opinion. Okay, so Powell, no change, blah, blah, blah. First we had Fed funds at 2% and 3% and inflation at 15%. Now we have rates at 4% with inflation at 1%. Do you think this guy's on your side? You think he's independent? You're out of your mind. This is one thing I'm going along with the orange man on. Yeah, I don't necessarily want the orange man, whoever comes after him, making interest rate decisions. Okay, but this guy's not on your side. The sheer name Powell, like his name, his face, anything that comes out of his mouth, Bitcoin should be skyrocketing on that. Skyrocketing. Powell cites tariff uncertainty. He's apparently not looking at the Taiwan dollar. He's apparently not looking at what the market wants to do with our currency, and he should be following along. Billionaires, Larry Fink from BlackRock, Elon, to attend a conference overseas about boosting investments in the U.S. Larry Fink from BlackRock, huh? Guess his phone rang and told him to get his act together. He has a lot of control about what companies invest in because he basically holds everyone's stock. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, they run the world because they own the S&P 500, literally, because they're mutual fund companies. So the fact that Larry's getting on a jet along with Elon means their phone rang. And when are we going to get this on Bitcoin? When are we going to get it? Because I know when we do get it, they're coming after it serious. Probably because they're going to have to. Now, Zero Hedge running a gold piece. They must watch the show because gold going up is the same thing as the dollar going down versus gold. You have done a dollar devaluation versus gold. Now you're doing it versus Asian currencies. And I can't believe every cryptocurrency is not next. It is next. It's just a question of can you hold on until it happens? Now, all right. Doomberg, why has the Taiwan dollar soared in value and who benefits, right? The volume in the Taiwan dollar trade, right, has never been seen in more than 15 years. Taiwan dollar record rally, right? Okay. So what does it look like? Well, this is what it looks like. Okay. If you look at a daily chart and you're like, oh, I recognize this. This is what happens when, like ohm, right? Except this is a major currency of a country that produces all of the world's semiconductor chips. And they get in a room with the orange man and his trade representatives. And guess what? Countries want the currency to go lower, it'll go lower. Countries want it to happen. The Treasury wants it to happen. It'll happen. This happened in 1985. They all got together and said, you know what? The dollar's too strong. You know, there's a way to do this. You can have tariffs and bickering and fighting, or you just adjust the currency. Okay, so I would say that qualifies as a currency adjustment, right? Considering that wiped out like what, 2 years of gains? Yeah. Last time it was this low was 2022. Can you imagine if Bitcoin wiped out everything since FTX? We'd be back at 16K. This is a big deal because they want the dollar lower. And not only do they want it lower, they're getting it lower. Okay, so we're getting lectured by communists. Whatever. China says the U.S. has been using all kinds of despicable methods to do all kinds of despicable things. Yeah, okay. Times Square news flash, intelligence services may not be on your side and do dirty things. And we're getting this lecture from communists. I think somebody's cranky because their economy is falling apart and their neighbor Taiwan is making deals with the United States about their currency that benefit them. And the communist clowns are left out and left holding their own bag for their economy, which they destroyed with idiotic policies over the last 20 years. Other than that, I don't have anything to say about it. All I can say is anybody who lives in Hong Kong who can get a hold of the Bitcoin ETF, if you're out there listening in Asia, non-investment advice. And I like this, right? A crypto meme, right? Everyone's partying and being stupid, and they haven't seen the Taiwan dollar yet. They haven't seen it yet. They haven't seen an epic dollar devaluation in process. Right? Epic. Okay, so if you want to know why the market's down, when we make commercials, the market goes down. When we have sports arenas, the market goes down. Stop making commercials. Stop it. Right? Please stop. Please. Please stop. Commercial comes out, market goes straight down, never fails. Okay, so Orange Man's crypto bill. So infuriating, right? Supposedly the stablecoin bill went through. I don't know the exact details of that, but they're trying to make the whole industry legal. And naturally, the Orange Man's meme coin, eye roll. The Orange Man's meme coin has now got the left all fired up to stop the crypto bill. Do those people who want to stop the crypto bill care about you? No, of course not. They've been in power they were in power quite a while, right? So they don't care about you. Could they get back in power one day? God, we hope not. But man, if they ever did, it's like, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to go by the meat section, and you're going to have giant bugs. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Neither are you. Not doing that, right? We're not eating bugs, and we're not doing Skynet, and we're not doing any of that stuff. We're going to invest. We're going to be smart. We're going to be smart. Michael Saylor reveals how he used AI to buy over $50 billion worth of Bitcoin. This guy, I'm telling you, is going to be, they're going to build statues of this guy when it's over. I know he's in the press every day, and you know what? That's part of the problem. The guy doesn't have enough help. He doesn't have enough help. But, he's making sure everyone understands Bitcoin is the cyberpunk revolution, right? It's currency that you can't print, and it's software that you can't copy. Go out and tell me, like, for example, I've said this before. If you wanted to make another, say, TikTok, okay, you copy the code, you copy the music, you tell it to slap it up on the internet. Guess what? There it is. You can't do that with Bitcoin. You just can't. Okay. Charlie Shrem is back. My old boss. One of the originals, along with Ross. Charlie was the one who was out there going Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin a long time ago. He told us when I worked for him that, if you can get Bitcoin under 10K, you're going to be just fine. And he was right. And now he's back launching 21million.com to distribute free Bitcoin in order to get people interested. It's funny how that works, right? Even if you take $50, I've told people this over and over again. You take even a small amount of money and you put it in a crypto or in a Bitcoin. Now, two things will happen. One, your mind will go whoosh and start focusing on what makes that thing move because it's your money in there. Second of all, people say, well, I can afford to lose $50 until it moves 20% and they're, the $50 is now 35 or whatever, right? Then they're upset. They go to Vegas, lose $50, they don't care, right? But it's funny how that works. And giving it to people is a great idea. Matter of fact, Mike should be doing the exact same thing. Give it to kids. Give it to them, right? Give it to them and have them hold it somehow. Or just give them such a small amount, the transaction fee to sell it is too high and they just have to hold it and look at it. Love that. Working getting the Bitcoin faucet going again. Love it. Love it. Right? Somebody other than Saylor has to start speaking up for real. Okay, so on-chain data, right? Where you can get, I love on-chain data. It's fancy, right? It really is. But a lot of times you got to use it as a supplement to make a point that you're already trying to make. Bitcoin rallied 1,000% the last time Bitcoin risk-off metric fell this low. And I've been saying this. This is now down where it was at the low in 2019. So whatever this metric is from CryptoQuant, the last time you saw it was with Bitcoin at 3K, which was the last time everybody thought it was going down and staying down forever and was never going back up again. I mean, I'll never forget it, right? Like Charlie said, the press is calling me. I need an upside target off charts. I told him 13. He cut it down to 7, only because we couldn't tell the media that we thought it was going to 13 because they would just laugh at us. That's how bearish it was in 2019. And today, you still have people thinking it's winter, and you still have people just exiting. People just exiting the market. They don't care. And that's why that's why I make sure this thing is close to my face so I can just scream into it. And then we're going to have Toby Ward in the YouTube member area right after this at the New Times. So if you don't think the market's going up and you don't know why the market would go up, well, then try listening to what Toby has to say because she'll tell you. Not to mention, we're going to go over portfolio timing. How are you not talking about portfolios? How are you not? Right? The Patreon store is full, right? It's full. We got picks. We got everything we can get in there, right? Because when is the time to get ready? Now. Not when Bitcoin's at 108, although, we'd be happy to help you. When Bitcoin is at 108, we want you to get involved in SUI, right, at our Gann turn window now. Like now, right? So YouTube member stream coming up after this. Michael Saylor says Bitcoin market cap will reach 200 trillion. You're right. It probably will. But there's no one talking about 108 or 120 at a tactical level. No one is talking about that. Okay. Another underreported story. Orange Man dinner, May 22nd, 3 days before the Bitcoin conference starts. Gee, that sounds like a coincidence. Gee, I don't believe in coincidences. Like, what's he going to do? Have a dinner and say, hey, boys, way to pump my bags? No, of course not. Right? The president of the United States can't go to the Bitcoin conference without turning Las Vegas. Las Vegas would be gridlock if he went to the Vegas conference. So he's got to have his own conference. I can't believe no one is seeing this. And again, we're all selling. I know there's a scary event overseas, but the dollar is collapsing. And the Orange Man is going to have a big crypto party. And the strategic reserve thing is overdue. I can't believe no one sees that as a bullish catalyst. Sol Strategy buys 122,000 Sol worth $20 million. And you know what? I think this is just fine. And you know what? We have a surprise layer one that popped out of the Gann work. Right? We have asset allocation, right? Maybe I'll be nice and go over it today, right? Where he said, okay, if we're going to buy a bunch of altcoins, how would you allocate it? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano. shocked at what the answer I got. We have that coming up in the PowerPoint. I will get to it in like 5 minutes. Okay, we have huge price targets on the upside for Binance Coin. Terrific. Terrific. Rat poison squared. It's not about what Warren Buffett did. It's about what his dad said, according to this one thought leader. You don't back the currency with anything, the currency goes down. How much Bitcoin will Berkshire Hathaway buy? None. Because it's not really attractive. They do value investing. You would think they would be on it, but they're not. So that's fine. They want to hold billions of dollars in cash. Okay. Eventually there'll be opportunities in the stock market. That's fine. Right? That might be a year away. That's fine. In the meantime, bus is going to leave without them. Bitcoin ETF bought 6 times more than Bitcoin miners produced. And it's funny, the Bitcoin miners are actually having a hard time, right? Marathon, I think Riot had to sell Bitcoin, right? And Marathon is hurting, right? And I think I've got somewhere in here that, there are mining hardware companies, right, that have 5x upside because they're building better hardware. Like building better hardware is good for miners long-term, but if the cost of production changes and they don't have the right hardware, yikes. Okay, I continue to believe that all of this bearishness about miners is insane because it's the only organic source of Bitcoin out there. Crypto funds ranked in $2 billion last week, reflecting 3-week haul of $5.5 billion. I continue to believe the day that NASDAQ crashed and Bitcoin went up 3%, that was probably on back-to-back days. That was the shot heard around the world. And again, we're acting like it didn't happen. We're acting like the Orange Man is not having a crypto dinner before the Bitcoin conference. We're acting like it's not happening. We're acting like it's crypto winter. Okay. Look at this. XRP is going to $1.20. Guess what? I'm sitting on a video that came from our model that talks about a scenario for XRP at $60. I just don't know what to do with the video. I don't know if I should put it on YouTube or if I should give it to the Patreon people or the YouTube people. Feel free to comment down below as to what I should do with XRP $60. I'm working on XRP $60 and Cointelegraph is working on $1.20. Okay. XRP could wake up out of nowhere. XRP has done nothing for a while. And even Gann will tell you that, big price moves can happen. It's like the bigger the base, the higher in the space. They bore you and then it's off to the races. I'm telling you, don't do it. How to tell the difference between a bull and bear market. Bull market characteristics. The market goes up. Positive sentiment. Favorable indicators. Bear market characteristics. The market goes down. Right? This is what the general public is reading. This is what they're reading. Will crypto values survive the regulatory wave? Right? Everyone likes to have lawyers at consensus. They love lawyers. Right? Love consensus. Really do. But I mean, there was a consensus at the bottom of the bear market where he had panel after panel after panel after panel telling us how crypto was going to get regulated out of business. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. For years, right? Orange Man's crypto play fuels senators' backlash. Murphy, Warren. Okay. Meanwhile, Monero launches new confidential by default crypto network. People, if you don't have privacy in the world of AI, you're in trouble. And I think the number of privacy plays in crypto, they're small. Monero, antivirus, right? There are a couple of other small cap privacy projects. Zcash, right? 0x0 is privacy and AI. I think there's something called ZK Sync. How many privacy plays can you name? Right? With them building Skynet. They're so afraid of Skynet that OpenAI was going to go to a for-profit model, right? Remove the safety and just start arbitrarily building like a crazy person. And somebody, I'm guessing Uncle Sugar, said, no. No. No for-profit model, no IPO, none of this nonsense. Why? Because they have Skynet in a test tube. They just don't have the hardware. Scary, right? You don't think privacy matters in the world of AI? Please reconsider that. Oh, look at this. The UK Treasury Secretary rules out national crypto reserve. It's not the plan for us. Yeah, of course it's not the plan for you. The people can't have their own money, right? Because, you have men with vests, right, and badges showing up at people's houses to take them in for what they put on social media. So, we don't have free speech. You can't have, you can't have independent money, and we're certainly not going to endorse it. Whatever. Listening to these clowns, it's painful. It's painful. Okay. SUI, like we said, on charts, going to PowerPoint in a minute. There's our GAN dip, people. There it is. Down 7%, turning hard. Bitcoin also turning hard. Okay. They give you a dip between the 6th and the 9th. Take advantage. If you're wrong, you lose money. If you're right, it goes to 120. And these altcoins, believe it or not, can go with it. Okay. So I know we have views peak at roughly 40 minutes. So 33 minutes into the stream, I want to hit you with, the new style. GAN is back. GAN is back. So's PowerPoint. Okay, just a reminder, Trump, America First, or America-owned policies have diminished the global appeal of the dollar. Good. Good. Right? Everyone's like, oh my God, it's over. It's the apocalypse. No, it's not. It's a dollar down move. Okay. Taiwan dollar. This comes from a friend of mine. Very smart. If people aren't short the dollar versus Asian currencies, they're not paying attention. Taiwan recently had initial trade agreement that could include currency valuation adjustments. Listening to the Chinese leader cry while we make deals with his neighbor. Now, according to our model, okay, so this is not charts. According to our model, modest dip target for Bitcoin's 91. Okay, modest dip target for XRP is 203. And you'd be lucky if you got Solana below 137. So if they get out of hand with the dip, I don't know if there's this war. There's a lot of support at 88 in Bitcoin. Okay, notice, Cardano, right, around 63 cents. And you're like, Cardano? Who cares about Cardano? Well, guess what? Our model does. So I basically, because everyone's always asking me this, right? Everyone's always like, Bill, what's my asset allocation? Like, how much do I allocate to what? Now, this is like an allocation suggestion for May. So shockingly, it wants to allocate 28% to Solana and 25% to Cardano, claiming there's a May 10th buy zone for Solana and a May 12th buy zone for Cardano, right? And then XRP is set up for May 8th to 9th. But strangely, the model thinks the upside is in Cardano and Solana, which is unbelievable. And Bitcoin winds up at the bottom, which kind of made me upset. But who on the internet's talking about, yeah, let's get Solana and Cardano right now? Well, we'll see, right? I mean, they were smacking all these altcoins like 10 minutes ago. This is like May 6th, 5 p.m. Central. Everyone was smacking everything that this thing wanted to buy. Now, as a preview of what we're going to be going over in the YouTube member area. So these are some of the larger coins that we talked about in the podcast, that we've been talking about in the podcast. Now, here's the cool thing. So the podcast, we're going to now have a presentation about buy and sell dates, right? Because we got the GAN timing thing working. Now, this is an example. So in May of this year, it favors virtual Ohm coming back from nowhere with, Toncoin and real world assets at the bottom. In June, it's got real world assets coming back in the form of Ohm. And in July, it gets out of the hot coin virtual and gets into Clearpool. So not only are we doing asset allocation, but we're also doing like rebalancing on portfolios. These just happen to be some of the bigger coins. Like I said, it goes to AI, real world assets, and then finance and lending in July. Then at the end of July, I think you got to reevaluate just about everything based on the GAN work that we will talk about in the YouTube member area. That stream coming up after we're done here. So who would think to allocate money to Solana and Cardano? Not me. Not me. Okay, here's your 4-hour chart of Solana, right? Actually, what we can do is go to DeMark and see how that's going over there. Okay, because what I'm looking for, now that I have this analysis, is I'm like, all right, share screen. Okay. So here you go. Solana, 90-minute chart. Here's your 13 bottom. Here's your classic selling climax, which gets summarily unwound. Boom. Right? Classic, run the stops, get everybody upset, turn it around. Boom. Sui. Same thing. We had this morning. 9 bottom. Right? Look at this bullish engulfing pattern. This was your dip. This is it. $5 next stop. Patreon had it yesterday. Might want to check that out. Middle tier offering. Right? I had like the Solana prophecy, like what we were going to do long-term, right? So I had a long-term thing with Solana. We called like the Solana roadmap out to 2026 with an ultimate target of, you gotta have to find out, right? Go check that out. XRP, guess what? Same thing. I mean, XRP, 9 bottom into support at 207. It couldn't even get down there. The media is talking about XRP at $1.20, and I'm talking about XRP back up at $3 or at least 247. You got a 13 bottom here. 2 days from now, if this market sits like this, you're going to have a 13 and a 9 bottom in XRP. This feels like they're typing in the launch codes. Even ETH, right? Here's your 9 bottom in ETH, right on support. Convenient, little rubber glove check, stop everyone out, leave it there, make it look terrible. Boom. Boom. I mean, I don't know, man. It feels clear to me. Bitcoin. Okay. I think, look at this. Bitcoin right on support. Oh, how nice. 93K. They unwound the whole early May rally. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm upset. Okay, I understand you're upset. Oh my God, the market was supposed to go up in May. Okay, I understand you're upset. Guess what? This is what the market does. They get you out, they get you bored, they get you discouraged, and then boom. There's absolutely no reason to sell this market after Powell's clown show today. None. I know you got scary stuff going on in Asia. That's outside my realm. But, again, I got this thing on Sui where it says, hey, May 6th to the 9th, right? Let's see what they got to say in Cardano. Who knew? Right? So Cardano, 13 bottom on a 90-minute chart, corresponding puke. They got a lot of room up to 70. I don't know if there's anybody out there who's a big Cardano believer. I don't know. I'm guessing no. Cardano spiked up. In fact, you look at it like a weekly chart, okay? But this inflection point, this was the high before kind of like, the winterish blah pre-election. So this was the high in March, and now we're back there, right? What is this? 63 cents. Now, I don't have a big sales pitch for Cardano, but if the model wants to buy Sui and Solana, either Cardano or XRP is going to go with it. I'm kind of more in line with XRP, but the model's into Cardano, and maybe the model is telling you subjectively, maybe you should reconsider the American-made cryptos 18 days in front of the orange man's dinner, where we've got to announce something other than the fact that we don't like Jerome Powell and the tariff talk and blah, 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 blah. Let's announce something cool. Can we? Okay. So we discussed looking at Aero. Okay, so, okay, that's Aero on a weekly chart. Let's look at the daily chart. Okay, so Aero is famous for wild price action. Okay, this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So an impulsive structure, a trend. A trend has begun in Aero. And this is a dippity-do with everyone getting negative and out, only to see it come straight back. Right? Little 5-wave bottom going on there on the 90-minute chart. What's the problem? What's the problem? Everyone's all negative. Why? Why? Okay, SWFTC on MEXC. Okay, so you got big LuxAlgo points here around 0.013, if I've got the right thing. I don't know, man. It breaks out, and there's a lot of support underneath the market. Bitcoin is very similar, right? It's like, I don't know how Bitcoin ever gets to 88K unless you have some kind of geopolitical event that creates a major problem. There's a lot of these smart day traders like, yeah, it's going to go to 91. I'm like, yeah, maybe it's going to go to 93 and rally. There's a lot of support down here at 88. You know, the model says if you get 91, you're lucky. Like you got 93. Why is everyone selling? I cannot come up with the reason why everyone is selling. Powell is, you know, not that smart. Here's breaking a downtrend line on the Bitcoin 4-hour chart. Why are we all selling? I don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like we're going to push everyone out when I have a quantitative model that wants to allocate to altcoins. I mean, I didn't think I was going to come on the air today and say, yeah, you know, Solana and Cardano, that's the way to go. Normally it's the Bitcoin speech. And I still think Bitcoin is fine, but you know, a computer model wants to do Sui, Solana, and Cardano. And the only way we're ever going to find out is to do it, right? And you need confluence, right? You don't just take some computer model's word for it. You use it as a guide, which is what we will be doing in the YouTube member area, right? By the way, if you want to see the GAN work run on any particular coin, I know someone suggested Litecoin, and it does help the stream. Feel free to comment down below. Comment in the stream. Comment now. We'll write it down. But commenting on the stream itself helps the stream, and it helps us keep it organized, you know, as to what we're doing. And just don't forget, we're doing specific stuff in the YouTube member area, right? So it's the stuff that, you know, a lot of picks that, you know, a lot of stuff that Toby found. And then we're using the computer to sort out the buy and sell dates. But Patreon's also getting this, right? Patreon gets all of this stuff. You know, I understand. I know I'm going a little bit with the hard shill today. But look, I'm going with the hard shill because I got something to say, right? We have, here's the stream, and here's Sui. GAN signals on the rise, right? A stream, and then we have the Solana prophecy. The Solana prophecy, man, where we have, you know, extended our view out into 2026. Okay, Avalanche. So hard to believe that Avalanche is where it is with security token functionality. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole idea about like, oh, we want to bring industry to America. Dude, what about Web3? When are we going to get our act together on this? I don't know. But I do know that this looks like a head and shoulders bottom to me. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I think that the fact that this was at its discount zone a month ago and the 200-day moving average is at 26 and this coin is trading 30% below the 200-day moving average. Oh, that's crazy banana pants. It really is. I'm sorry. Now, Smashitoshi Smakamoto says that the countries in Eurasia or in Asia just joined the global world war. I don't know, man. Let's hope not. You know, the damn deep state. We're trying to get out of wars, and wars just happen to be starting out of clear blue sky. I don't get it. You know, how much SUI is enough? Huckleberry Native says, I need more. Okay, Steve J says Aave has an accumulation funnel on the 12-hour chart. Well, it would be absolutely rude to not check that out for, you know, the king of DeFi. I don't know, man. This looks like head and shoulders bottom to me, right? And Steve's probably saying that this is somehow an accumulation cone, and he's not wrong. Okay? It doesn't really matter how you look at this. If this thing ever took off, see, that's the thing, right? Everyone sell, everyone out, everyone bearish. Then all the signals, right? Toby's like, buy risky AI coins, buy risky DeFi coins. You know, the model is like, hey, you know, buy the dip first week of May. Hey. And we're all bearish. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, right? Whatsoever. Pancakes and Peanut Butter says Cardano is old, dying tech with zero use. Put a fork in it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about that. Now, that may be true. And sometimes with computer models, you know, you have to, I don't know, maybe you have to think about what they're saying, Maybe if the model wants to buy Solana and Cardano, maybe it's the return of the American-made cryptos, right? Maybe the machine picked out Cardano, right, out of a list of big cap cryptos because it's a big cap crypto, but maybe it's Algorand. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's Algorand. And the thing about Algorand that's just crazy, right, is that, I know this is like pie in the sky, but if you have a formation like this, right, it can mean nothing. It could also mean that if Algorand ever took off and broke this neckline and didn't look back, like, you know, if Algorand ever did this, never went back below this line, you'd have a monster move. Now, the opposite is that, yeah, the market's dead and it's not happening. Okay, well, I don't think so. And, you know, the time to buy the market is when no one thinks you should buy the market, particularly if they're all selling because of whatever's going on with Powell. Okay, True Finance on a 12-hour chart, thanks to Steve, there's a lot of support down here. LuxAlgo has put support underneath most of these rallies. Right? Big Rich says, I bought more Solana and staked it on Kraken for 12%. I mean, I can't give you investment advice, but that seems obvious, right? You know, Mike Novogratz is giving him a hard time. You know, he dumped ETH at 1,800 something and bought more Solana, and no one talks about Solana anymore, right? Even Sui did well. People talked about it, but everyone was like, well, okay, it's over. That's it. I'm done. It doesn't mean anything. No, dude, it does. It means a lot, right? Somebody out there is hot for these layer ones, and because DeFi takes off. Do you know what the DeFi coins are on Sui? I think we looked at something called Sui Pad, you know, on the YouTube member area, right? Like, if you don't know what these things are, or if you have stopped looking at the American-made cryptos, I don't know. Maybe it's time to reconsider that. We have ANT, Autonomy. You don't know me, son. Bonus points if you know who said that. Okay, so this may not be the correct chart. Okay, ANT, Aragon, maybe. And again, like so many cryptos, breaking out of a downward sloping formation. Downward sloping formation by going sideways. And this can be constructive. Again, okay, Cosmos. Poor Cosmos. Just can't get going. Okay, that said, Cosmos is at the bottom of a big channel. I know a guy named Redphone Crypto that loves Cosmos because you can do like ordinals and inscribing things into the chain and things that are technically way beyond me. Now, I don't know anything about Cosmos, but I know that, if I talk about Cosmos and Cardano and everybody goes no, which is understandable. And what happens if the answer to that is, hey, wait a minute, I got something here. What happens? Okay. Grandpa Keeter says Clint Eastwood, right? We're not prejudiced. We don't like anybody. Bonus points if you know what Clint Eastwood character said that, right? Oh my God, somebody wants to look at Fetch. Why are we not talking about AI? We will be talking about AI, right? In the YouTube member area, okay, after this, trust me, right? It is autonomy, right? I don't know, man. Like all of these things, they exploded and then they crash and then they sit and then they wait. Now, what I can tell you about price action like this, because antivirus looks just like it, Dan would tell you that if it had the energy to go up initially, like antivirus, if it had the push to go up initially, if it could muster the energy to go up like this once, then that energy can repeat and is still there. Now, in the meantime, we're sitting in to see how this formation resolves itself. I don't even know if that is the formation or maybe this is the formation. I don't know. All I know is they got a talking mascot and it's got a 3 million market cap. A talking AI dead guy. And privacy functionality gets installed on a regular basis. Don't understand why we're selling. I don't. Okay, so what have I got to say? We have a lot of computer models and a lot of things. A computer model, Toby Ward, that want to buy in May and stay. The market is obviously testing our resolve at this time. Barring a geopolitical event, consider Bitcoin. AI, big coins like Solana and XRP. You sleep on these coins? I don't know, right? Okay. Grandpa Keeter wanted render. Let me get that done for you, sir. Is it easier for me to do TA? And again, we're going to be doing a GAN model AI report. And I forgot to do Fetch. Okay. So here's Fetch, sharing the screen. Okay. Fetch has support underneath it. Is this a cup and handle? Absolutely. Absolutely. All I have to do is tell you that there might be a robotics angle on artificial super intelligence token. Okay, handles can be annoying. They can be annoying. They can go on for a while. I would say this price action qualifies as annoying. These tokens are going to absolutely smoke to the upside. They're going to smoke, right? Render. Like the big cap AI coins, if I understand it correctly, are Render, Fetch, and Tau, right? And this, very simply, is either a complex head and shoulders bottom or just straight up rounding bottom. Market goes down, market sits. The bigger the base, the higher in the space is in effect. Okay, people, that is what I have to say for today, right? YouTube member live stream with Toby coming up right after this. We'll see you tomorrow.